Hi, you're back for another weekly reading. We're going to do this again, where we tune in, get a tune up, listen to the stars, see what spirit has to tell us and inform us today about the week or just about life in general. It's always a surprise to me because I never really know what's going to come up in the cards. Um, yeah. So anyway, I'm Naomi, and I'm glad you're here. So today, obviously, these are always timeless readings. You can listen to them whenever you want. But I like to, at the time of filming, um, really touch into the energy that's at play. And right now, when I was looking at the chart, I can pull that back up. I noticed that asteroid Lilith is conjunct star Sirius right now. And in a different video before, I was mentioning that Sirius is a star that was looked at as the star of Isis, and all across many different cultures and ancient people, it's always been a very revered and sacred star. So right now, that star is conjunct asteroid Lilith. And asteroid Lilith is seen in like astrology. When you like Google it or whatever, you'll see that it's about, looking at our fears. It's about the things that go bump in the night and stuff like that. And what I thought was interesting, researching a little bit about Lilith, is that the first time we hear of her in text is in Jewish folklore. And she was the first wife of Adam before Eve. And apparently, she didn't really want to play a subservient role. And so I don't know the whole story. I'm going to have to do lots more reading about her. But she decided to do her own thing. But what was interesting to me is that I wanted to look up, what does her name actually mean? And her name actually translates to night creatures. So, and they go further into like night monsters, night hag, it just spirals down the drain from there. I bet you can imagine. But I did think it was very, very interesting that one of them was the screech owl. So Lilith is paired with creatures that can see in the dark. And I think that's a very powerful trait to have, to be able to see in the dark. So, and I think that's probably why she's associated with fear in the first place, because inherently we are afraid of things that we cannot see or do not know, mystery. And she is the queen of mystery. She's the one that is the mystery, and she sits there in the dark, and that's her power place. So I thought that was actually pretty amazing that she is conjunct Isis. And in the Egyptian stories, Isis has a sister, a twin sister, Nephthys, and they are the light and the dark of the feminine combined when they hang out together. So I thought that is a beautiful thing, that we've got the multifaceted Isis with her 10,000 names paired with her dark sister. How cool is that? So also in the chart, let's see, where was it? We've got a trine happening. So Mercury is hanging out in Libra. We've got, and that's one point of the triangle. The other point is touching Pluto in Capricorn. And then the other one is touching Mars in Gemini. And when we have a trine, that's like the symbol of creation, where two things create the third thing. So, and it's also, all the alchemical not alchemical symbols, the elemental symbols are different triangles, so one facing up, one down, and then with the lines. Yeah. Anyway, triangles all around. So I thought that was really fascinating. I apologize. There's always so much noise out there. I don't know what that. Anyway, so yeah, that was a little distracting. That actually is totally synchronistic about what this trine is about. Because we have I don't know if you can hear that, but that is like, oh wow, this neighborhood is turning into sound. I'm just dealing with a lot of sound, as is life, right? Okay, so Mercury. I'm so distracted by that right now. Sorry. Mercury hanging out with Mars, hanging out with Pluto. What is that about? It's about getting out of the mind, loosening up the things that distract you. Mercury and Libra. Like Libra is that balancing, and in order to balance, you must cut away the things or add things on either side to actually balance everything out. And so it's a constant movement of opposites. And when Mercury is hanging out there, I actually see that as it's moving through the synapses of the mind very quickly, almost like sewing them together. When we have Mars hanging out with, let me see where that was, in Gemini, which is actually Mercury's favorite sign. Again, it's it talking to the two different polar opposites that live within us. It could be our masculine, feminine, our light, our shadow, our subconscious, and the opposite of subconscious, the conscious. So those things are all kind of happening. Meanwhile, this is a trine of creation, but it's Pluto. So it's actually not necessarily creating something. It's actually composting and alchemizing. It's the part of the creation process that's at the end where we're dissolving these different neural pathways. That's why we are still, this is something I think is going to be a lifelong journey for all of us, is that we're here to take things apart and build things back up again in a new way. And that starts from the inside out. So that's what's going on in the sky. Thanks for bearing with me while the universe around actually gave me such an incredible metaphor of distraction. So yeah. So I thought we would actually listen and pull from one of the Isis cards today to see what message does she have for us. And then again, actually, I'm getting the tip right now to, let me grab it. Where is it? To pull from my Shadow Oracle. This one is it's the Threads of Fate, which are just gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous cards. I don't typically read them on this because they don't always pick up very well because they're this embossed foil, but I think these are the cards that are calling. So we have the message from Isis, the message from her sister from the darkness. And let's see what they have to say. I'm excited to hear. So, as always, let's light our candle. And today, I've been really loving these big candles because I feel like it just kind of gives us a little bit of that healing magic. I love doing candle magic. It's one of my favorite kinds, where you basically just pour all of your intent into this candle, And it is alchemy. You're burning it all the way down to ashes. It's just amazing. Well, I mean, I guess it's a puddle of wax, but ashes, there you go. So we'll light this with the intent to have courage and to trust our own eyes that can see in the dark. And that the dark is not necessarily a scary place. It's a necessary place for us to go into deep rest. Without the dark, we would not have that space of reweaving ourselves together and regenerating. Sleep is when we regenerate ourselves. So I'm gonna also just ask this to be for our emotional body and for our nervous systems right now, because I'm getting that message right now that our nervous system is in deep need of rest. So giving nervous systems a little bit of rest right now, as so much is moving all around. So I also really love to infuse candles with crystals, but these crystals will go in at the end once we know what the message is from Isis. So here we go. Okay, so we'll just call on Isis in her many forms, thanking her for her message, that it come through clearly, and that we can actually use it in ways that are important in our lives. Let's get some mystical yet practical advice from Isis. What does she have to say? I think that was it. Okay. Oh, okay. Healing the divine masculine. Is it just me, or has this actually come up before the last time we talked to Isis on this channel? I believe it did. That's interesting. So she has the same message, I guess. Healing the divine masculine. That's so interesting how that would come up. I'm certain. There was another reading that I did a while ago, specifically talking about the gate of Isis, and I think in that one it was. Wow. Yeah, it was this one exactly. Okay. So she is still on the same message. It hasn't changed. And it makes sense because these things that we're healing in ourselves, our own divine masculine parts, it takes time to heal. These things don't just, I mean, there are such things as miracles, but these things typically take time to actually manifest in the 3D in our physical body and in our reality. So again, we have this message coming through of healing our divine masculine. And I'll just read a little bit that says, the divine masculine within men and women is the energy that allows for protection, discernment, healing, and a sense of deep safety and holding, even through the most uncomfortable circumstances of life. When the masculine within us is healthy and strong, we have an inner strength to hold ourselves safe through anything. Your inner masculine is going through healing right now, growing stronger in its ability to offer you inner protection and stability so that your inner feminine can blossom with creative expression. And I often see this imagery when that comes up of a, the chalice and the water within, where you kind of have this symbol of the container that holds the water, and that the divine masculine is that container holding the water so that it can do its work and it can be peaceful and it can then keep flowing. And I think that's kind of incredible. I want to actually ask how she adds on to this, and we're gonna just pull from different cards to see how is she adding on to this. And for this one, we're actually just going to communicate with the star ancestors and the star beings from Sirius itself, uh, and actually listen to the energy coming from that star. So I'd like to ask, what is it that we specifically need? Whoa, it just fell right out. Arrogance. We're getting humbled today, right? With Lilith, who she's the one that is taking a look at the things in the dark, and here we are healing the divine masculine. But the facet is looking at the places where we have become arrogant. And perhaps the thing that's actually coming through with that is being inflexible. Where are the places that are inflexible within us? Where, sometimes we want what we want, and it's difficult when we don't get it, Wow. Yeah, so let's take a look at what it says a little bit in the book about this card. So it says in here that this card refers to the human tendency to become single-minded and sometimes much too ego-driven, pushing ourselves beyond our limits in order to accomplish a goal. While this can at times be an admirable quality, it can also severely hamper our evolution and keep us stuck in actions driven by the ego. When we are stuck in these ego-driven tendencies, it becomes impossible to connect with our higher nature and evolve beyond the limitations of ego. On the other hand, this card might be giving you a message to push yourself a little harder when you are afraid, and thus it's acting as encouragement for you. So it's like there's two sides of this coin. The places where we have gotten too inflexible, where we're just not budging on what we think is true, or like what I'm talking about, those pieces of ourself that get stuck. And the flip side of it, though, is those places where we're actually too fluid and too like aimless and not knowing like which way to go and what to do, or we lose motivation and drive and we stop before we actually succeed. Sometimes we're so close to something really good and then we just don't finish and we give up. And this card could be both. I think it's it's all of it. So looking at those two places where maybe we actually need to, like, that Mars energy that is trining, that Mars energy is in astrology the divine masculine. And it's actually quite known for being very arrogant. However, Mars energy is also really, really beautiful in being that passionate, like driven focus that is like, all right, I'm going to succeed at all costs, no matter what. Like, no matter what's going on, like, this is something I deeply care about and I'm going to get it done. And so maybe putting a little bit more fire under the feet to push ourselves through that space of not being so motivated, when we lack the drive. So That's kind of amazing. I love when spirit, you can hear when spirit really speaks because yeah, I love when that happens. So let's go ahead and see what the counterpart, what Lilith wanted to say. The beautiful shadow sister in the dark. What does she want to say about this? Because they're on the same page right now. Lilith and Sirius, Isis, they're hanging out like this in the sky. That means that energy is conjunct. I say that a lot, but it is if you take all the different lenses, they are put together. So their focus is quite clear. So let's take a look at what does, and I hope I said her name right. Yeah, what does she want to tell us? Miss Lilith, the screech owl of the night, the one who can see in the dark and is not afraid to be there. What do you have to tell us about healing the divine masculine? And then this other card that came out about arrogance. What is your message about this for us? So there's two cards. Okay. I almost don't, oh, do I want to show you? Because it feels kind of like a tease. The first one that came out is the warrior. And look at that. Look at that. The ram horns of Aries right here. And that, and this is such a Martian Aries divine masculine card. Not that all warriors are masculine, obviously, but it's that driven, like single-minded focus. It's, yeah, fierce and determined, the warrior. But look at what it's I almost, I gave it away. But look at what it's paired with. It's paired with play. Now, how different are these, but also how much are they the same? So it's so interesting because we can think of this energy as us playing a game, a strategic game. It's almost like we're playing chess, we're playing, or chase, or, all those different games where it's okay to get competitive, is if this is actually like encouraging some healthy competition, a little bit of that. I think that's brilliant. And this is coming from the wise one in the dark, the owl-eyed woman who can see. And she's encouraging us to step in. Oh, there we go. It caught the light. Look at that. So she's encouraging us to come through that dark. Like, let's actually go through the dark, but with the agility and playful mindedness of a child. Like that, let's not take ourselves too seriously here. And what I think is kind of amazing is the ego, I think, for a lot of reasons, gets a very bad rap. Usually there are even places within the spiritual communities that they completely disregard the ego entirely, while the ego is actually there to protect us, to keep us away from things that are going to harm. It is that primal, that the play comes from primal knowing, where the ego actually is an essential part of us. Without the ego, we would basically not get anything done. So what we need to do, though, is, and this is something in psychology, of it's time to put the ego back into the passenger seat where it belongs, because the ego is like, giving the 8-year-old the driver's license, and it's just not developmentally there. That's not its job. You're giving somebody the authority to be the boss when they didn't earn it and that they're not qualified to be the boss. The one that's actually qualified to be the boss is the heart. However, they work together because the heart is driving the car and the ego is holding the map, and they work together. And that way the heart can focus on getting them there. And the ego can say, hey, watch out for that left turn. It's really sharp. So that, I think, is what's going on for us with this conjunction and this trine. So, and this is like I said, it's all applicable right here in the moment. However, this reading, it really just it doesn't matter when you listen to it, because these are things that we're going to continue to work on, because this is our human job to balance. It's that Mercury and Libra thing happening, balancing work and play, balancing light and dark and shadow and all that stuff. And here we are, the way that we can actually heal our divine masculine today is by allowing it to be there, allowing it to exist. Let me actually take a look at the chart. I wanted to look at the chart, and Chiron is still in Aries. And Chiron is that energy of the wounded healer. And when it's in Aries, the wound is, do I have a right to exist? And so the ego is asking for a right to exist. And it's asking for it to be put in its spot with proper boundaries. Because when you give something proper boundaries, it's actually very healthy. Like, just imagine you're trying to actually cultivate your garden so that you can literally eat. But if you just kind of throw the seeds out into the, the patch out there, it's just, they're going to be eaten by different things. The deer is going to come in, it's just so disorganized that it's so much of a gamble that you can't actually ensure that you will have food when you need it. And so the boundary of saying, this is the garden, this is what I'm planting, and then this is the wall that keeps those little seedlings safe so that they can sprout, they can grow, and I can have my salad when I want it. Then that actually is the proper use of boundaries. So when we give our ego the proper boundary, it can flourish and it can grow and it can be the best co-pilot ever. So I think that's brilliant. So I'm going to put these little crystals, I'm going to put them on top of this. Let it just kind of absorb the energy of this reading, the message from Isis. And she lives in the dark. That's why her name is so hard to say. Because you need a big flashlight to see it. Is it Nephthys? The word, I believe in, so Isis's Egyptian name is Aset. And I think that Nekhbet, I think is her name. Nephthys is the Greek. Anyway, I'm going to have to look into that. I read a lot of things and then I forget them sometimes. So let's go ahead and let's get a crystal and let's get an animal that can help. Crystals are so, so healing. They hold that ancestral deep knowledge to help us actually do this soul work, to do this healing work. So let's go ahead and ask Isis and her beautiful sister, what stone do you advise us to use right now to heal this piece of our warrior selves so that we can play? This one. Yeah, I'm feeling this one. Let's see what it is. Oh, interesting. I've never pulled this one before. There's like a unicorn on here. It's lepidolite. Lepidolite. And it says, breathe in your trueness. Breathe in your trueness. This is a very decorated pony. It's like the most princessy card. Yeah. So anybody out there that was like a full-on like a 4-year-old horse princess girl, like this is for you. Yeah, interesting, huh? Okay, so let's go ahead and take a little peek at what is what is written about lepidolite. Okay. Lepidolite's lilac luster is the stuff of princess dreams and fairy tales. Something in us rebels when we see it, thinking that can't be natural. But lepidolite's tranquil tones are the real deal, not manipulated or man-made. Don't doubt my authenticity and don't doubt your own. Lepidolite quips. Lepidolite knows that being outrageous, outrageously beautiful or funny or smart doesn't make you false. Shining brightly gives other people permission to shine, to show their authentic multicolored self. When you're able to put down your masks, when you recognize the person you see in the mirror, your heart and spirit calm and your soul takes a deep breath. Let lepidolite support you in breathing in your trueness and basking in your outrageous spirit. I love that. Because also, Mars is that like outrageous, that charismatic, outrageous one. Especially if, let's say, like Mars was in Aquarius or something, then that would be really outrageous. So, yeah, so it's actually this paired with the warrior and play and arrogance and the divine masculine. I think all of this, like lepidolite coming through to be the healing one for this makes a lot of sense because sometimes, I think we were probably told that we were too loud or, that our game was getting too crazy inside the house and, you know, a lot of that stuff that kind of made us dim our light. And that is kind of what throws the ego out of balance because there it is trying to protect you, but it protects you in ways that keeps you small. So lepidolite is coming in to help us grow big again, but in a way that makes sense, in a way that's your true authentic nature. So now let's take a look at what animal can come in to be our spirit friend right now to help us get through whatever needs to be balanced right now within ourselves. That guide. Let's get our animal guide. Here we go. Who's our animal guide? The sea eagle. The sea eagle. And it says, renew your life. Renew your life. And that actually is like the job of essentially what Pluto is doing. Pluto is actually that alchemical process. Like I see this as an eagle on fire. So I mean that could be the phoenix, where it's that alchemical process of transmuting and changing and renewing. Like death is actually a renewal. So let's go ahead and take a peek at what it says because I love the writing. I think that it just adds so much flavor and depth. Okay, I think I found it. The eagle. When old eagle can no longer spot pike jumping in the sea, when her wings feel heavy and slow, she remembers the lore of reincarnation. This mystery is passed down to those of her kind as fledglings are strong enough to look straight into the fiery sun. As the ancient knowing rises in her soul, Eagle finds a well of clear, clean water. With that well as her tether to earth, she leaps skyward and sunward, flying up until her feathers sear and the fog is burned from her eyes. Then she plummets back down to earth into the depths of the well's water, emerging renewed. Eagle reminds us that life moves in cycles. When you are tired and burned out, draw on the wisdom of your soul to find renewal. And what a beautiful balance that is of the divine feminine and the divine masculine. That eagle reaching all the way up to the sun where it gets, like metaphorically scorched by the flames of the sun and then dives deep down to get its nutrients from the ocean. And that is really the pairing of these two polar opposites, isn't it? And so this eagle knows how to balance the two and also knows how to use them both to its best and its highest good. It knows exactly how high up to fly. It knows that once it's up there, it can see precisely where that fish is, and it can just focus like a warrior and point precisely at where it's going. That right there is the union of the heart and the mind, because the heart is the one that can go way the heck up there and can see from all vantage points, because it really is that 360-degree eye, that spherical place of all knowing right there in the middle of us. And then it dives deep into that well of our psyche. So I think that's really cool. And again, another one of those things where you can't make this reading up. Like this is spirit communicating through the pictures and the cards that I have available here. So I think that's just amazing. So I'm going to go ahead and put these little crystals on top of lepidolite, because I do have a lepidolite stone. I'd have to go and dig it out. It is not one that I use all that often, but I do have one. But placing the crystals on the card and then asking these crystals to take the deep knowing of lepidolite and then infuse it into their little computer systems. Quartz is an excellent record keeper. It can store so much knowledge, way more than we can possibly imagine. And it's all stored right in here in these teeny little seeds. And so we'll just ask these beautiful little seeds, these little quartz people, to hold that deep knowing. And then paired with this eagle, we're actually this is the way that I do some versions of candle magic. But let's just really infuse that with the knowing of the eagle, the knowing of this lepidolite, and this unicorn, because this unicorn definitely wants to be in that candle. And all of the messages from this reading today. So here it is. And now you can also help me to infuse that energy, just like, and then we will put it into the candle, the wax of the candle. I'll try to do this in a way that you can see. And put this into the candle flame, where now these quartz crystals are going to be the alchemists, the ones that can truly help us do this inner work. They're an ally now. So thank you all for being here. I wanted to, yeah, let's just say thank you to Isis and Nephthys, or Nekhbet, if I'm saying that right, and I sure hope I am. Her dark sister Lilith. And thank you to all of the guides that came in and all the messages that were so clear, that were so clear today. Yeah. And thank you to you for participating and being here for the process. Yeah. And then I just wanted to let you guys know that on Sunday, September 11, I will be at the Shasta Healing Arts Fair. It's going to be my first time in a booth talking to people. Like, wow. So I'm going to be doing oracle readings there. It's going to be tied into the retreat that I am going to be hosting with Lisa Lovelight. So we are doing this kind of together. She's going to be there on Saturday, and I'm going to be there. We're both going to be there on Sunday, along with my friend Ken from Crystal Focus Alchemy with his humongous crystal skull star Sirius. You can come and visit and actually like interact with that, and it's just an incredible crystal skull. So if you are in Shasta the weekend of the 10th and 11th of September, that's where I'll be. And I'm really excited to maybe meet. I mean, I'll be meeting lots of new people, and hopefully some of you, if you are down for going there, if you're local. So yeah, that's going to be really exciting. I'm going to be basically what I'll be offering the crowd are little mini oracle readings to get messages from their star ancestors. So I think that'll be really fun. Really, really fun. Super mystical, super fun. Yeah. And on that note, that means I'll be talking up the retreat and really seeing who wants to be there. We have actually changed the dates because it felt like October. October felt rather soon, so we actually pushed it back to November 5th through 11th. It's still in Cerritos, Baja, Mexico. And yeah, hurry up and reserve your spot before they get taken by somebody else. Little gentle prod to get you guys to go because I would love to see any of you there. So, anyway, on that note, soak up this healing candle. I think that is going to be so beneficial for us. And yeah, I'll see you the next time I'm here. Bye.